What's going on, everybody? John Paul here, bringing you another episode of Rope Break, and today we're talking about October 6th episode of AEW Dynamite. It was the go-home show for Full Gear, which is going to be this Saturday. And did it hype up the matches anymore? Did it disappoint? Was it a great show? We're going to go over it here, and then we'll decide at the end. So they, like every other episode of Dynamite, they began right with a match, and this match was Pac against Trent of the Best Friends. And this was actually a really good match. You could make an argument that it was the best match of the night. Trent is severely underrated, I feel, being in a tag team. You know, people just pop for Orange Cassidy and when they hug, and they were in the gimmick match last week, but I mean, both those guys in that team are really, really good wrestlers. So the match started out with a lot of chain wrestling and holds, and it was just a really good wrestling match in the beginning, but Pac got the upper hand, and he knocked Trent and him they were going countering back and forth, and he hit a slingshot DDT, but Trent countered that with a Northern Lights suplex, and then it kept going in and out of the ring. There was one point where Pac almost could have won on a count out, but he dived to the outside on top of Trent. He didn't want to get the count out victory, so like I said, it was just a really competitive matchup. And then Trent was tossed into the barricade, and his throat was slammed over the railing. Like I said, it was just a really brutal match, really good. And then back in the ring, Pac hit his Superman plancha before getting Trent back into the ring. Oh yeah, that's it. That was the spot that I was talking about earlier, where he hit Trent and to break up so it wouldn't be the countout victory. And then Pac hit a German suplex, jawbreaker counter on Trent back outside, another plancha, and then Orange Cassidy came in the ring and he did his famous little like light kicks where it looks like it's doing nothing, but the crowd was popping every time. And like I said, the crowd this week was just as good as last week, I feel. They were chanting that Pac sucks, and, you know, they were just a really good crowd. They booed the heels, cheered the faces, and, you know, Cassidy, he got booted right out of the ring like he was done. You know, Pac didn't sell any of his offense, which I thought was the right choice. It was just fun. It was really funny to see, though. I liked it. And then after that, Trent would get control again, and he would get a 2 count. He used the Dude Buster, I believe it's called, Dude Buster DDT, and then Pac got control again and got him down, and he went up for the Black Arrow, and when he hit it, I thought the match was done. I actually looked away, 1, 2, I look away, and they're like, oh, he kicked out, and then it was like confusion, and I looked, and just like the look on everyone's face, and even the ref and stuff, it was like, they definitely botched that. So then Pac went right into the brutalizer, and he soon submitted. It was like 2-3 seconds after that he submitted. So I think that there was a botch there, but it wasn't too bad. It didn't really ruin the match for me. Like I said, it was still a really great opening match, really great TV match. And then after the match, Pac said that he's going to make an example out of Hangman Page on Saturday. So just a really short, sweet, just hype. After the match promo, he didn't really say too much. So then after that, Cody was going to make his big announcement. So Cody comes out, and notes here, the first thing he said, he wants to get something out of the way, and he talks about how it's well known that there was, in the past, there was wrestlers who were also bookers, and he's one of them. He helps, in the back with management. He helps book the storylines and all that, but he's also a wrestler. And he has also heard the criticism where people say, oh, you're in the title match. What's that about? You're only doing it because you booked the show. And as he says that, the whole arena starts chanting, you deserve it, you deserve it. And it's hard to argue. Part of me wants to disagree with that and say he doesn't. But if you just are basing it off the singles record, the only other person you could make an argument for would be Pac. And you're not going to do Pac. You're not going to do heel versus heel. That story's not as good. The story that they're telling with these two is great. I wouldn't want them to change it going into it or how it is now. But when it first started, I was a little iffy. But now they have me sold on this story. So I do agree with them that he does deserve it. Like I said, the only other person would be Pac, but that doesn't make sense. So, Cody, he stops there and lets the crowd keeps chanting, "You deserve it," and you could see it really brought joy to his face, and he was really starting to get emotional. And then he said if he loses, he won't challenge for the AEW Championship ever again. Which, when he said that wasn't really the announcement I was thinking he was gonna make. So then that's kind of really all I hung on to after hearing that throughout the rest of this promo. So then he goes on to say, he calls out Jericho for saying that Cody's an entitled millennial and how he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but Jericho's just as entitled as he claims Cody is, and Jericho's dad was a famous hockey player, so the spoon that was in his mouth was just as silver as the one in Cody's. And he goes back and forth. And it's like I said, it's really good promo, a lot of emotion. He said he's not in this match for himself. He's not in this match to, ride the coattails and increase the legacy of his father, or like I said, himself. He's doing this for his family, for his mother, for his brother. I think he even said the fans, his wife, everyone who is here supporting him now. That's who he's fighting for. And he pretty much tells Jericho that it's not just him. He's with the elite. So the inner circle, the whole inner circle is picking fights with everyone in the elite. Jericho after Cody, Proud and Powerful after the Young Bucks. So he said the elite is coming. They're not taking over. So it was a really good promo. But like I said, when he claimed that after, if he loses, then he's done for the belt, that's the only thing I hung on to, because I'm like, I can't see Jericho losing. So with him saying that means he's done. But the only other thing I could think of would be if the title gets vacated. Not saying that this is going to happen after Jericho. This could be, 2-3 years from now. The belt gets vacated. You have a battle royal. He wins it there. Technically, he's not challenging for it. There's ways around it that he could eventually become the champion. Or you could do a mid-card title, because I feel if AEW, they are eventually going to introduce one, and when they do, they'll treat it with a lot more prestige, how like the Intercontinental Championship used to be. So I feel he could definitely be that kind of champion and hold that title, and he'll definitely hold the tag belts with his brother, I'm sure, or MJF. But yeah, that's the only concerning thing. I mean, they could definitely go with Cody. We'll talk about that more in our Full Gear predictions. So then, moving on, we have they announced at the beginning of the show actually that SCU would be defending the belts against the Lucha Bros at Full Gear, and it would be a 3-team match. So like a triple threat tag team match for the belts, and that would be the Dark Order versus the Private Party to decide who would be in this match. And when they announced this match, I was thinking the Dark Order. I was big on the Dark Order going into the tournament. I thought they should be in the finals. And then I thought the story was them against Jurassic Express. Jurassic Express goes out. Okay, and then maybe the story doesn't make sense for the Dark Order. Then you have, they lose, and I'm like, okay, like I said, that makes sense. Now they're in this match, and I thought they should go over. Like I said, it was a great match, but unfortunately, in my opinion, nothing against Private Party, because I think they're great, but I don't see them winning this match. I think you could have put the Dark Order, they should have been the ones to win, and you could have put them in this match. Get them on the pay-per-view, but, Private Party does deserve it as well. That's just my personal opinion. But, like I said, it was a good match. The Dark Order, they were dominant pretty much this whole match. Private Party got their spots in here and there. And they, like I said, the Dark Order, they took control. And every time Private Party, and this is the one thing that bothers me about them, but this is kind of just AEW in general, is when one team takes advantage, they like to ham it up to the crowd. And they do that thing where like they get the big grin and they look around and they're like, "Ooh, should I do it? Should I dive? Or should I run the ropes 3 times and then do some crazy move instead of just hitting the guy and beating him while he's down and pinning him like the commentary keeps saying every time, oh, what, you need to cover him, you need to keep on him, and it really takes you, like, to me, it takes me out of the action. So that kind of bothers me about, especially with Private Party that they do, but, I mean, they're so athletic and they're so charismatic, they still, like, you still love them anyway, but that's just one little thing that I nitpick. But, the match, like I said, I didn't think it was going to end when it ended. Quinn kicks out of a 450, and he hits, Private Party hits the gin and juice for the pin. It was, like I said, on, not Evil Uno, they hit the pin on Stu Grayson. And I thought he was going to kick out. He kicked out of the 450, but not gin and juice, and that was it. So, like I said, this whole match, as soon as I saw the winners were, I was a little upset because they built, and the only reason, too, why I'm upset about this is they built up the Dark Order. They were the team who got the bye. They were the first tag team that they introduced that weren't like an initial team, and that got video packages and hype and all this stuff, and they said the Young Bucks are really behind them. I know they're behind Private Party, probably even more so, but like I said, they really hyped and put a lot of stock into the Dark Order, and then they don't advance any further in the tournament. They get the first round bye, then their first match they lose this match. Now where do they go from here? I think you need to have them now go on a dominant role and just trash teams. Like, you got to kind of build them back up, because now they're looking like slouches, I feel. Even though every team that loses in a great match. Like I said, the Dark Order was dominating pretty much this whole match. But it just, a loss is a loss. In AEW, they focus so much, not how good you are, just on the wins and losses. So that's a big thing to consider. Then after that, it went to a Jericho video package for his match. And this was probably my favorite part of the whole show. It was parodying the video package last week, or 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, with Cody and Brandy, where he's sitting there and she's going over stuff about the show and this and that, and Cody's not really paying attention because all he can think about is his match with Jericho. But Sammy comes up to Jericho and he's like, "Oh, what kind of bubbly should we get? I was thinking this," and Jericho's not really paying attention, and it was just so funny. Like, they just are just parodying this. They have people from Jericho's life. I think one of them is like his aunt or someone, and she's like, "Oh, he's gonna kick Cody's little bitch ass," and or something like that. Like, it's just the funniest thing. You have Santana and Ortiz on there. They're like, "He's dead ass coming for you, Cody, dead ass." Like, it's just the funniest thing. And Jericho. Then they cut to Jake Hager and at least 3 or so times, and he's just staring into the camera, and it's like the funniest thing. He doesn't say anything, he's just menacingly staring into the camera. It's great. And he gets emotional because he's like, I'm the AEW champion, and I'm gonna win on Saturday. Then after that, I gotta find some good bubbly to drink. And he gets emotional, talking that it's a lot of responsibility to find good bubbly and drink it. And they're just making fun of Cody. Like, if you can find this online, you gotta watch it. It's like the funniest thing. Like, it was definitely my favorite part of the show. And then we get the tag team match of Riho and Shanna versus Emmy, Sakura, and Jamie Hayter. And this match was a good match. It definitely, you saw more of Shanna, which I think she's, and her and, who was it last week? There's too many names, but last week in her match, she was really good. And I definitely was excited to see more of her, and I thought she was even better this week. Emmy Sakura is really good too, even though, when you see her, she's short. She's not like real thin. You might not think she's a good wrestler, but she's really good too. Hikaru Shida. That's it. I knew it would come to me. So, and Shanna against Hikaru Shida last week was a really good match. And like I said, Jamie Hayter, she was good. She's was tag team partners with B. Priestley. So if she was anything like B, you knew she'd be good. And I think she's good. So now we're finally starting to see, like I said last week, we're starting to see these women really showcase themselves. But I need to start to see a story now. And I think they might have started a story here with Riho and Sakura, because they always say how Sakura trained Riho. She used to be her teacher. And this match, a lot of women got their spots in, but Riho, I thought, really took a lot of the damage in this match. Shanna was the powerhouse, even though Riho was the champion. She was the one in the tag team match that gets beat up and then makes the hot tag. And Shanna, she was the cleaner, knocking everyone out. And Emmy Sakura and Jamie Hayter, they made a lot of tags in. They would do a move or two, tag in, do a move or two, a hold, submission, beat someone down, tag in. They made a lot of frequent tags. So they were definitely the smarter team. They really portraying Riho as the baby face here, and like the underdog baby face. And the match ended. There was Riho is fighting back, and she almost gets the pin on Sakura, and they do a lot of roll-up combinations, and eventually Emmy Sakura gets, she gets the upper hand and gets the pin, and I didn't like it, because I don't like, if WWE does this, we usually are quick to judge. It's like, oh, you don't want the champion losing, especially before the pay-per-view, because, you don't want your champion looking weak and all that, but I think in this case, you almost need it for the story. Now, if this is a trend that they continue to do, I'll definitely be quick to judge it. But I'm going to let it slide this time, because I think that there was no other story to tell. They didn't want to do the rematch with Nyla Rose. They didn't really build anyone up. And every time Emmy Sakura was on TV, they really hammered home that point that, oh, she used to be Riho's trainer, and she trained the AEW Women's Champion. Excuse me. So I think that's the story they're trying to get. Like, oh, she's the teacher, and she might still be better than her student. Oh, and then, she won in this tag team match, so now could she do it in a singles match? So I think they're really going to tell that story. So hopefully the commentary team gets that over, so they sell us on the match during the match, which the match should be sold to us beforehand, but their women's division definitely got off to a slow start. So, and this is the first go around, so definitely going to give it a pass. But like I said, I'm really excited to see how the women's division goes from here. And then after that, we had another Brandy Rhoads promo, or a video package rather. And this was good, I thought. She says everybody said that she is only where she is because of Cody and her looks, and that she's no good in the ring, and that, she's smart, she should stand there, look pretty, this and that. And, as she's saying this, it flashes to Awesome Kong, and she says that, she's going to use her brain and Kong's might, and she's going to invade everyone's dreams and be their worst nightmare. She's playing off the American dream, the American nightmare type thing. So it was a really good video package, and I'm excited to see them as a team. I hope that she's the champion soon. I hope, like, maybe after Full Gear, you have her come in and just squash Riho, and like, not that I want to see Riho lose right away, but I feel like that's a good way to build up then a credible baby face, and you can make Riho challenge again, and maybe we build up Riho even more, but I don't think she should lose. She should beat Awesome Kong then again for the belt, and you can build someone up like a Britt Baker or an Allie. You have plenty of women, Sadie Gibbs, all these other women you can build up in the division, to take that spot as the number one babyface and the leader of that women's division. But really good video package. I'm excited to see them as a team because I think with that manager role, it will add more dynamic to Awesome Kong's character, and it'll get Brandy on TV, and Brandy definitely plays a really good heel, so I'm excited to see where that goes. Then we get Shawn Spears and Tully and accompanied with Tully Blanchard, and he's going against Brandon Cutler. And this was pretty much just a showcase match. Get Shawn Spears on television, show him in a dominant role against Brandon Cutler. He really didn't have much offense against Spears, a little bit here and there. And the main takeaway from this was it continues. After the match, you had Shawn Spears. He hit big chops on Cutler. He hit a big boot, picked him up for the Death Valley Driver for the pin. And then after the match, him and Tully Blanchard, they start beating on he goes up. I'm sorry, he goes up for the Death Valley Driver for a second one. I think Tully pushed a chair into the ring, and then he goes up for another Death Valley Driver onto the chair, and then Joey Janela comes out because I believe they had a match on AEW Dark. I didn't get to watch Dark yet from this past Tuesday, but I believe they had a match they said on commentary, so it's continuing their feud, which if that's the case, that's again the thing I really love about AEW Dark. They can start feuds on there, continue storylines, heck, even maybe end storylines too. The show is getting more popular each week. They're having guest commentators on there. I know MJF was on this week. And I really like to see that because the fans are really behind MJF. I believe they're behind Shawn Spears too. They're happy to see him out of WWE and in a role where his talents can be used and showcased. So the fans are behind both these guys, and to see them in a program together, I think would be really good. And the fact that Tully is still with Shawn Spears is also good because it shows that how much stock AEW has in him. So really excited to see where the feud and the program between these two guys go. And like I said, this match was pretty much just for Shawn Spears to showcase himself, which I like. Brandon Cutler is kind of just a glorified job guy right now, so we'll see where he goes, but not too concerned with that. And then we get a video package hyping up the Kenny Omega Jon Moxley match. Kenny says that Moxley's lucky that it's a hardcore match because there's no way Jon Moxley could beat him in a chain wrestling match. And then it shows highlights from both the guys, from everything from Double or Nothing, All Out, just, stuff from, even stuff from Dynamite, it just shows all this stuff between these two guys hyping up the match. And then Kenny says that he's glad it's going to a dark place and that he'll see you there, John. So, like I said, it just really did a lot to hype up the match, which I don't know, you mustn't have blood running through your veins if you're not excited for this match, because these two guys, besides the two tag team matches, this match could definitely steal the show. And it's going on last in the main event, which is something when I was thinking that, the championship you always want to be the main event. And they're using the excuse, this is an unsanctioned match, so that's why it's going to be in the main event. But it's still the main event, after the show's over, technically. But it's still the main event. We're not, the show's being written, it's the main event. So it almost goes to what Jon Moxley said, where, Tony Khan, Kenny's your boy. It's like Kenny gets the main event anyway, even though he's not in the championship match, which so is Jon Moxley. But it's just, some food for thought. And like I said, if you're not excited for this match, there must be something wrong with you, because it'll definitely be a great match. I'm excited for it. It's probably the singles match I'm excited for the most. And then the next match is the main event. It's the tag team match between Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega and Adam Hangman Page. And everybody came out with their own entrance here. I was fine, obviously, with Kenny and Hangman having their own entrance, but I feel like the Inner Circle should have their own entrance. You should almost, if obviously Jericho, when he comes out, it can just be Fozzy and it can just be himself. But if two guys from the Inner Circle are coming out, there should be some like Inner Circle theme. I just think that would be pretty cool. But I understand them doing the individual entrances. You're trying to get these guys over and still introduce them yet to the crowd. Sammy and Kenny start off the match. They go back and forth, and it showcases a little bit of the chain wrestling, kind of how the first match went with Pac and Trent. And like I said, Sammy's good. I'd like to see more of him, get wins in the singles role, but unfortunately, he hasn't won in singles matches, but they're really hyping him in the commentary, and I feel with his role in the Inner Circle, he will continue to be over, but he's definitely probably the weak link in the Inner Circle. Kenny hits him with the hard chops, and Hangman tags in. There's just a lot of double teaming. Jericho and Sammy, they take over on Paige. The match is back and forth. Paige counters with clotheslines, tags in Kenny Omega. Sammy's tagged in as well. More huge chops. Sammy counters, German suplex. Like I said, these guys were just, all four of these guys, they're all talented. Jericho, even at his age, Sammy was definitely carrying it and doing most of the work, which is what you would assume. Even if Jericho was young, he would definitely make Sammy carry. Oh, I'm your boss. You're in my Inner Circle. I have a match on Saturday. Like, you could just hear his character saying stuff like that. So it made sense even storyline wise, but there was tons of huge spots. Kenny sends Sammy and Jericho to the outside, and like I said, it's this thing where they look around and Kenny hits the ropes and he goes to go for a dive, and Jake Hager stops him. So there was the interference from the Inner Circle, which was a sign of things to come, and Jericho distracts the ref. There's just like a whole, a bunch of screwy stuff going on. You knew this match wasn't going to be clean with the Inner Circle. And then at the end of it, where we go here? Kenny is caught. Yeah. Then, pretty much the whole match breaks down, and Pac comes in and he low blows Adam Page, and then the ref didn't see it, and Page gets hit with the Judas effect for the pin. And a lot of people are talking about Hangman Page turning heel, and wow, I don't see that or agree with it. It's definitely something that they could do. Like I said, I feel like turning him heel, I don't know who he would feud with or where he would go, what that would do for his character. I don't feel like that would get him any more over. But he does take the pin here, and I don't see him winning against Pac on Saturday, so we will see where he goes from here. But then after the match, the Inner Circle, they attack, Adam Page. They're just beating him up after the match. Then Cody comes out to make the save. MJF comes out. He attacks Hager. They send Jericho into the ring. And Cody hit his finisher on Jericho, but it was like the weakest looking crossroads he ever hit. It just wasn't good. And I don't know if it was just he was tired. He was trying to protect Jericho. What? I really hope if he hits it on Saturday, it looks a lot better than that. But then as all this is going on, Jon Moxley, he confronts Omega. The Inner Circle comes out. Like I said, everybody comes out. Santana, Ortiz comes out. They start battling. Then they attack Moxley. Everybody's out. The Young Bucks come out. And everything just breaks down. And it was one of those things where you don't like to see this, because you think, oh, this is just a cheap pop. You know, they're going to bring out all the big names and they're all going to brawl. But as everybody's fighting, Kenny and Moxley kind of just fight to themselves, and they're doing their own thing, fighting as they should be, because their feud is just themselves. But Cody said in his promo, you know, the Elite is coming for the Inner Circle because you're making a war with us, so we're going to come back and fight you. And that's pretty much what happened. You know, all of the Elite, you know, you have Cody, the Young Bucks, you know, Adam Page, MJF is in there now, you know, maybe not in the Elite, but he's, you know, Cody's friend. And then you have everybody in the Inner Circle. They were all, and then Pac is kind of just thrown in there, but, you know, they were all going after each other, and I thought it was a really good way to close the show and kind of get everybody excited. And like I said, some people may think it's cheap, but at least it makes sense storyline-wise, so I won't knock it at all. And, you know, that's pretty much how the show closed. And did it get us excited for Saturday? I mean, I was already pumped for Saturday. I was beyond excited. AEW has definitely not disappointed in any of the pay-per-views, even in any of these episodes so far. Their only major disappointment, I feel, was the Tag Team Champion Tournament Finals. But other than that, I thought everything they've done so far was great, so I have no reason to doubt them on Saturday. But with that being said, I feel the go-home episode could have been a little better, just in the sense that, I don't know, just something with the women's match. It just still, even though I went over it and I said I explained it and I'm going to give it a pass, it just something didn't feel, just something didn't feel right. And then with Cody's announcement, because I'm concerned, because if he wins, I don't know where they go from here. Again, like I said, I shouldn't doubt them. I should just enjoy the ride and just, you know, enjoy the ride and see where they take me, because so far it's been good. But, you know, I'm always thinking long term, so I want to see where they go. If Cody wins the belt, or if, you know, if Jericho wins it, we got to see our retains. We got to see where they go. So overall, I would say it was a good episode of Dynamite. Like I said, you should have already been excited for the show on Saturday, but if you didn't, it definitely got you more excited with the Jon Moxley video package, Cody's promo, besides the concerning title stipulation, you know, the Young Bucks and Santana and Ortiz. I think that's going to steal the show. You have the three-way tag team title match, the Lucha Bros, SCU, and Private Party. That's another show stealer. And, yeah, I mean, Hangman Page against Pac. It's going to be a great show. So we're definitely going to be doing predictions on that show. And we're definitely going to be doing a review, so please stay tuned for that. Going to have all the social medias linked down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.